They say one night can change everything. That in a single breath, destiny can unravel years of silence, rewrite the rules of love, and pull the past back into the present. This isn't a fairy tale. There were no glass slippers, no perfect beginnings. Just one night, two unexpected turns, and a love that refused to stay buried. In the heart of New York City, where skyscrapers kiss the clouds and life moves at the speed of light, Amara lived in the quiet shadows of luxury. She was 27, beautiful in a way that didn't beg for attention but earned it anyway. Her days were filled with hard work and hushed dreams, juggling a cafe job in the morning and bartending at night. She didn't complain. She didn't have time to. The city didn't hand out kindness easily. But Amara, she carried her own light. Even when the world didn't notice. One rainy night, just past midnight, the bar lights flickered softly above her as she wiped down the counter for the third time. Most of the patrons were gone, save for a man in a tailored black suit who had slipped in just before closing. He didn't ask for a drink. He just sat there, silent, watching the rain tap at the windows. He looked like trouble wrapped in money. But there was something else, something in his eyes. A quiet war behind a polished gaze. She approached him, tired but curious. "You all right, stranger?" she asked, her voice soft but clear. He turned to her, and that's when she first saw him, not the expensive watch, not the perfect jawline, but the loneliness. It mirrored her own. Julian Blackwood, CEO of Blackwood Tech, billionaire, media darling, and tonight, just a man escaping a boardroom full of snakes. He didn't give her his name. Not then. He just said, "I've had better days." She smiled and poured him a drink on the house. "You're in good company." The conversation was easy. Surprisingly so. They talked until chairs were stacked and the neon signs dimmed. Somewhere between shared jokes and secret glances, the tension changed. It became heavier, softer, inevitable. They didn't plan it. They didn't even say goodbye. It was just one night. One unforgettable, stolen night. The next morning, he was gone. No note. No number. Only the memory of his lips on her neck and the weight of his arms around her waist. Weeks passed. Amara told no one. Not even Harper. What was there to tell? She didn't know his name. And she wasn't the kind of woman who chased shadows. But fate had other plans. It started with the nausea. Then the dizziness. The test confirmed it, but the second ultrasound changed everything. 2 heartbeats. 2 tiny flickers on a screen that would forever rewrite her life. Twins. Her hands trembled as she left the clinic. She wasn't ready. Not for one child, let alone 2. But as she stood on the crowded street, rain falling once again, Amara knew one thing. She would love them fiercely. She would raise them alone if she had to. She didn't need a billionaire. She didn't need a name. All she needed was them. 5 years passed. Her babies were no longer babies. Mila and Micah, her twin miracles, were full of questions, full of laughter, and full of life. Amara's world was smaller now, tighter. She lived in a modest apartment, worked from home designing graphics for small businesses, and filled her nights with bedtime stories and lullabies. Julian Blackwood had long since returned to the headlines, acquisitions, awards, scandals, and success. But never love. Never marriage. His face was everywhere, yet never where she was. Until the day their worlds collided again. At a tech conference she was attending for a client, she saw him. Standing under bright lights, speaking with power and poise. The same eyes. The same smile. And suddenly, her knees weakened. Her heart screamed. That night came rushing back like a tidal wave. And he didn't even recognize her. But fate, cruel and kind, wasn't finished with them yet. Because Mila and Micah had a way of finding truth. And truth always finds its way home. Amara hadn't planned to speak to him. Seeing him again after all these years, after the silence, after the birth of their children, was surreal enough. She told herself she'd stay invisible. Just finish her client's pitch deck and leave quietly. But fate doesn't knock. It kicks doors down. Julian saw her standing by the refreshment table, eyes wide, hands frozen around a paper cup. He didn't recognize her. Not fully. Not yet. But something in her face held him still. Something familiar. Haunting. He stepped forward, polite, curious. "Have we met before?" Her heart raced. Every word she could have said curled up and hid behind her lips. She gave a soft, practiced smile. "No," she said. "Just, you looked familiar." He nodded. "People say that when they've seen my name in headlines." "Sorry." But her voice, it lingered. Long after she walked away. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. The twins were at her mother's for the weekend, giving her space to finish her project. Instead, she sat on the couch, staring at her laptop, wondering if she should have said something. Wondering if the man who haunted her dreams still had a place in her future. 2 days later, they met again. This time it wasn't chance. It was an invitation. Julian had found her portfolio through the client she worked with. Impressed by her designs, he requested a meeting, formal, professional. She accepted. When she walked into the glass tower of Blackwood Tech, she wasn't Amara the bartender anymore. She was Amara Ray Ellis. Designer, mother, woman of strength. Julian greeted her in his office, his eyes softer now, less guarded. They talked. Not about that night. Not yet. Just about design. About branding. About vision. But between the lines of contracts and style guides, something shifted. He asked her to stay and join his in-house team. She hesitated. He noticed. Too sudden? He asked. It's not that, she replied. I just have responsibilities. He didn't pry, but he noticed the tiredness in her eyes, the edge in her voice. Still, she accepted. The pay was too good, the opportunity too rare. Days turned into weeks. Meetings turned into inside jokes. Professional smiles turned into lingering glances. And then one afternoon, in the hallway just outside the boardroom, she laughed at something he said. Really laughed. And it hit him. Her eyes, her voice, her smile. The memory slammed into him like thunder. That night, that bar, that laugh in the dark. He stepped closer, voice barely above a whisper. It was you, wasn't it? She met his gaze, frozen. 5 years ago, he continued. That night. It was you. Amara's silence said everything. He exhaled sharply. Why didn't you say something? What would I have said? She whispered. You left without a word. I didn't know, he murmured. I didn't mean to disappear. I was in a mess back then. I ran. From everything. She nodded. I know. There was pain in her voice, but not blame. Just the quiet truth of someone who had learned how to let go. And then she told him. About the twins. About the pregnancy. About the years alone. Julian's world cracked. He stood in stunned silence, every breath shallow. I have children, he whispered. I have twins. Tears shimmered in Amara's eyes, but she didn't cry. Not yet. They're beautiful, she said. And they're mine. Mine and yours. But I didn't want anything from you. He didn't respond. Not with words. Instead, he sat down slowly, burying his face in his hands. All his empires, his billions, his boardrooms, none of it prepared him for this. When he finally spoke, his voice was raw. I want to see them. Amara nodded slowly. Then come meet your children. The next day, Mila and Micah opened the door to a stranger. A man with trembling hands and eyes that filled with tears at the sound of their voices. They didn't understand it yet, but they felt it. Love, quiet, undeniable, familiar. Over the next few weeks, Julian became something he never imagined, soft, present, learning bedtime routines, listening to Micah's questions about the stars, and braiding Mila's hair with careful, clumsy hands. And with each passing day, his connection to Amara deepened. She fought it. She told herself this was about the kids, about co-parenting. But her heart, it never forgot him. One evening, under the soft glow of the living room lamp, he touched her hand gently. I missed 5 years, he said. I don't want to miss another moment. She looked at him, uncertain. I'm not asking for forgiveness, he said. Just a chance to be what I should have been. For them. For you. Her heart cracked open. And for the first time since that night, she let him in. But love is never simple. And fate wasn't done with them yet. For a moment, they had everything. Afternoons at the park with the twins, quiet dinners at home, and soft nights filled with laughter and warmth. Amara allowed herself to hope again, to believe that maybe, just maybe, their story was one that fate was finally writing in their favor. Julian was changing. He still wore tailored suits and signed multi-million-dollar deals, but his hands were gentler now. His voice softer. He was a father, and he was falling in love again, only this time it was slower, deeper, rooted in something real. But the world outside their quiet little cocoon wasn't kind. And Julian's past had not forgotten him. It began with whispers. Then headlines. Julian Blackwood accused of insider trading. A fabricated scandal born from betrayal. Victor Lang, his business rival, once a friend, now a vulture circling the empire Julian was building anew. The media feasted. Paparazzi swarmed. Investors panicked. Julian tried to shield Amara and the kids. But the storm seeped in through every crack. Reporters found their building. One even cornered Mila at school. Amara was furious. Not at him, but at the life that threatened her children's peace. This isn't just about you anymore. she told him one night, her voice trembling. They're not headlines, Julian. They're 5 years old. They don't deserve this. I'll fix it, he swore. I'll make it stop. But some fires don't go out easily. Then came the meeting. The board of Blackwood Tech, panicked and looking for a scapegoat, demanded a press statement, a disassociation. And worse, they wanted him to step down. Temporarily, they said. Privately, they meant permanently. Julian refused. So Victor came forward with an offer and a threat. End things with Amara. Cut ties. Play the game. Or lose everything. It wasn't said with words. It didn't have to be. The implication was clear. They had dirt. Photos. A timeline that didn't match the polished image of a CEO. A mistress with twins. A secret family. It would destroy the company, the brand, and his custody rights. Julian returned home that night different. He kissed the twins goodnight with shaking hands. And then he sat across from Amara, unable to meet her eyes. What is it? She asked. He hesitated. They're going to destroy everything, he whispered. You. The kids. Me. I thought I could fight them, but they're coming for blood. Amara stared at him, feeling the cracks begin to form. So what are you saying? I need to make this go away. For you. For them. She waited, heart pounding. I need to disappear. For now. No, she said instantly. No, Julian. We just found each other again. He stood, walking to the window, hiding his breaking voice. I'll make it right. But right now, I'm the problem. You're their father, she snapped. You don't get to walk away again. He turned to her then, and the pain in his eyes nearly crushed her. This isn't like before, he said. I'm not running from you. I'm running for you. She took a step back. Her body was trembling. Don't you dare do this again. But he was already halfway gone. His bags were packed within the hour. No hugs. No explanations for the kids. Just a lie to protect them. Daddy's going on a work trip, he whispered, kissing their foreheads. And then, like 5 years ago, he disappeared. Weeks passed. No calls. No updates. Just silence. The twins stopped asking. But Amara knew they were hurting. Mila started wetting the bed again. Micah stopped drawing. And her heart shattered all over again. She hated him for leaving. Hated that she still loved him. She sat up late into the night, staring at the door, hoping he'd come back. But months passed. And he didn't. Not until the day she received the letter. A thick white envelope. No return address. Inside, a single sheet. No apology. No excuses. Just a promise. I haven't forgotten you. I haven't forgotten them. I will return. When the war is over. It wasn't enough. But it was something. Amara closed the letter, tears blurring her vision. And once again she began to live without him. Stronger. For her children. Even when her heart felt like it might never beat the same again. 3 seasons passed. Autumn bled into winter. Winter melted into spring. And with each change, Amara rebuilt the world she'd once imagined with Julian, this time without him. She found steadiness in the routine, school drop-offs, work calls, bedtime stories, the smell of warm waffles on Sunday mornings. The ache in her chest dulled but never disappeared. It was like background music always playing, just low enough to live with. The twins were growing fast. Mila's curls bounced when she ran, and Micah was obsessed with space and planets. They no longer asked about their father. Not allowed. But every time they saw a man in a suit on TV, Amara caught the way their eyes lingered, silently wondering. She smiled through it all. For them. For herself. But healing is never a straight line. It curves. It dips. It surprises. One afternoon in early summer, while cleaning out an old drawer, she found the letter again. Julian's handwriting, steady, careful, promising. She read it for the 10th time. Maybe the 100th. And that night, under the soft hum of the ceiling fan, she let herself cry, not out of anger, not out of pain. But acceptance. She still loved him. But she had learned to love herself more. Then, one Sunday afternoon, life changed again. She was at the grocery store, pushing the cart while Mila and Micah argued over cereal. She turned the corner, and there he was. Julian. Standing near the produce section in a navy blue button-down, holding a small bouquet of sunflowers in one hand and a paper bag in the other. His eyes met hers, and time stopped. No cameras. No scandals. Just 2 people in the middle of an ordinary aisle, frozen in an extraordinary moment. He took a slow step forward. Hi, he said, voice barely steady. Mila spotted him first. Her eyes lit up with instant recognition. Daddy? Micah looked up, confused, then stunned. Julian knelt down, arms open. And the twins ran. He held them so tightly it looked like he'd never let go again. His shoulders shook. His jaw clenched. He didn't say a word, just buried his face in their hair and held on. Amara stood still, heart pounding, breath shallow. When he finally rose, she spoke. "You said you'd come back when the war was over." He nodded, his voice rough. "And I did." She studied him. He looked older. Tired. But his eyes, they were the same. Still filled with fire. Still filled with her. "They cleared my name," he said. Victor's deal fell apart. The board apologized. "I stepped away from it all. For good. I'm done fighting for companies. I want to fight for this. For us." She folded her arms, trying to stay composed. "And what do you expect? That we just start over in the cereal aisle?" He gave a soft laugh, then shook his head. "No. I expect you to take your time. I expect to earn back every single thing I walked away from." He handed her the sunflowers. "These were in your kitchen that night. I never forgot." Her fingers brushed against his as she took them. Silence passed between them, thick, heavy, full of everything they couldn't say with words. And then, slowly, she nodded. "We'll start slow." He smiled. "I'll take slow. As long as it's real." From that day on, Julian became part of their lives again, not with grand gestures, but with quiet consistency. School runs. Homework help. Movie nights with popcorn and mismatched socks. He asked Amara on their first real date 1 month later, no suits, no bodyguards, just a small bookstore cafe and 2 lattes. They talked about everything and nothing. About how she'd raised the twins. About the fear he felt when he realized what he'd almost lost. About love. About forgiveness. At the end of the night, as they walked under a quiet sky, he reached for her hand. "Still scared?" he asked. She squeezed his fingers gently. "Not anymore." And when he kissed her softly, slowly, it wasn't the rush of that first night. It was something deeper. A love grown through fire. Rebuilt through time. Earned. 2 years later, the sun poured golden light across a quiet backyard in upstate New York. It wasn't a mansion. Not a penthouse. Just a home, a real one. White picket fence, scattered toys in the grass, laughter echoing from the porch. Julian was on his knees in the garden, trying to build a miniature rocket ship with Micah, who kept insisting it needed more boosters. Mila sat nearby, weaving flower crowns with Amara, her tiny fingers placing each petal with delicate pride. They were a family now. Not perfect, but real. Julian no longer ran billion-dollar meetings. He taught part-time at a university, lecturing on business ethics with the kind of passion only someone who had nearly lost it all could carry. He spent his evenings helping with homework and dancing in the living room to silly songs. Amara had launched her own design studio. Clients came in steadily now, drawn to the warmth and honesty in her work. She worked from her sunlit office while her children played underfoot. And when the house went quiet at night, she'd curl into Julian's chest, knowing peace like she never had before. One summer evening, under a sky lit with stars and fireflies, Julian set up a small projector in the yard. Just the 4 of them, wrapped in blankets, watching old cartoons. Halfway through the movie, he stood up, walked to Amara, and knelt down. Not with fanfare, not with speeches. Just a simple ring, and eyes full of love. "I missed the first chapter," he whispered. "But if you'll let me, I want to write the rest of the story with you." Tears welled in her eyes as Mila gasped and Micah asked if this meant more cake. Amara didn't say yes. She kissed him. And that was more than enough. Later that night, as the twins snored softly and the crickets sang outside, Amara lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Once, her life had been survival. Now, it was something sacred. She thought about that one night, so long ago. How love arrived when she least expected it. How heartbreak carved space for healing. And how, in the end, love didn't just find her. It stayed. True love doesn't always begin with the perfect moment. Sometimes it begins with pain. With silence. With distance. But the love that is meant for you will always find its way home. Even if it takes 1 night, 2 surprises, and a lifetime to understand why. If you enjoyed this emotional journey, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more true love stories. Share your thoughts below. What would you do if your past came knocking? Join the True Love Tales family and be part of the story.